In my recent video on the 7 stages to financial independence, I mentioned net worth as an important signpost to determine where you are in that journey. So today I actually want to explain what net worth actually is and how you can calculate your own net worth. I then want to move on and talk about how net worth actually goes beyond our individual personal finance and explain why it is actually a key component of equality and power in society today. And if you stay to the end of the video, I will actually be sharing my net worth number at the time of filming. So stick around for that. I'm going to be completely transparent. Okay, let's get into net worth. Put simply, your net worth is the difference between what you own, your assets, and your liabilities, what you owe, your debts. So if your assets, what you own, exceed the value of what you owe, your liabilities, your debts, then your net worth will be positive, whether that's by £1 or £1,000,000. It doesn't matter, your net worth would be positive. However, if you owe more than you own, your net worth will be negative. In a nutshell, that's how it works. Pretty simple. Okay, so assets are classed as any item that you can sell to actually realize some money. You could get cash in your hands for that item. So that may be cash savings, obviously. It could be property that you could sell if there is equity in the property or you're making profit from rental. That could be investments, pensions, jewelry, or collectible items that keep their value, whether that be your Jordans or your stamp collection. So when we're thinking about our assets, think about the big ticket items that genuinely have a value. Yes, you may have a lot of ornaments and things that you could potentially sell that would realize cash, but we don't want to inflate our assets. We don't want to give a false picture of what we actually own. So you're not looking for those little things that you could put on Gumtree. So again, our liabilities are anything that we owe. So that may be mortgages, student loans, car loans, it may be credit card debt, and even money that we owe to friends and family. Calculating your net worth is actually incredibly simple. You add up all of your assets here, and then you add up all of your liabilities here. You take your asset number and you minus your liability number. And if your assets are bigger than your liabilities, you have a positive. But if your liabilities are higher than your assets, you have a negative. Simple as that. I've personally started using a spreadsheet to track my net worth numbers. I find it easier to just have a template where all the categories are split out and I can then play around with the numbers, change them as time goes on. And it's just something that I have saved on my computer. It's just a spreadsheet that I found on the internet, completely free, and I will link it in the description below. It's an excellent tool actually from the Breakaway blog website. As I say, completely free. Check it out if you're looking for a template. But equally, if you just want to scribble on a piece of paper or make a spreadsheet yourself, go for it. But if you need the resource, it's there for you. You may have noticed that I just said that I use the spreadsheet to track my net worth. Your net worth number provides a snapshot of your financial situation at any one time. But if you take on more debt tomorrow, or if you pay down debt, if you acquire an asset or an asset that you have appreciates in value beyond what you had last logged, your net worth picture will be different. Your financial situation will have changed. And so the number that you had prior to this will no longer be valid. We do know that calculating our net worth number today is important. It gives us a clear indication of where we are today. Are we on track? Do we have to make some changes in our lives? Do we have to start budgeting? Do we have to get a little bit tighter? Do we have to look at how our assets and our liabilities are spread? What is the balance? It does help us amend our behavior. However, the strength of your net worth comes from tracking it over time, because it's the growth of our net worth that matters, not the number today. By committing to tracking our net worth on a more regular basis, we will be more inclined to acquire more assets and build a healthy allergy to debt, because we will be focused on increasing that number. Now, the spreadsheet that I've linked below has a second tab that actually allows you to track and actually get a visual graph of that growth, again, as a really good incentive, and also just to make sure it is going in the right direction. So again, I say check it out. I'm not sponsored. I just think it's a really good resource that I've started playing around with. If you come across a resource that would be more useful and you think the community would benefit from, please do drop down in the comments, let us know where you found it, and then hopefully other people and myself can go and check it out. The importance of acquiring assets and building wealth cannot be overstated. Like I outlined in my consumerism video, debt and the pursuit of stuff removes our societal power and makes us more vulnerable to financial shocks. To put this into context, let me give you this eye-opening statistic. Well, it was eye-opening to me, so let me know what you think about it. The Running Me Trust has reported that Black African, so me, and Bangladeshi households in the UK have only 10 pence of savings and assets for every £1 of white British wealth. I couldn't believe it when I read that. Further to this, the UK's first wealth and asset survey carried out back in 2009, so a little out to date, and I will try and find an up-to-date statistic for us. But the survey found that white British families had £221,000 of assets, Black Caribbean families had £76,000 worth of assets, Bangladeshis £21,000 of assets, and Black African households, again, myself, only 15,000. Yes, the statistics are out of date, but as an indicator of the disparity between groups, to me, that was eye-opening. Okay, so this is where nuance kicks in. Realistically, there are many reasons why we're seeing this wealth inequality between groups. Ethnic minorities represent a high proportion of immigrant families who have had less time to accumulate wealth. We also know that the ethnicity pay gap is not part of discourse today, because yes, we do know that racism plays a part in our pay structures as well. And then obviously there is the skew towards lower paid jobs in cities where there are increased housing costs. So this all combines to make a double-edged sword. But let me give you another statistic that will hopefully get you thinking about why you and I have to focus individually on our net worth, regardless of the bigger picture around us, regardless of any limitations and perceptions that may be holding us back. Why, regardless of what your situation, your circumstance is, you owe it to yourself to focus on building assets and staying away from the pursuit of stuff and debt. So in relation to home ownership, Black, African and Arab groups have the lowest level of ownership. Black African, 20%, Arab, 17%. And this is compared to 63% of white households in the UK owning their home. So the reason why this is important is because of the simple concept that money begets money. Stay with me here, let me walk you through it. If my parents have a house and have savings or assets that they can sell, I am more likely to own a house, because with the housing market on steroids and being so expensive compared to normal salaries, so the only way I will get a deposit is if I borrow from the bank of mum and dad. And this has been a true story for a large proportion of people that are homeowners today. Okay, so let's move on to chapter 2 of this story. If I have been able to buy a house, the likelihood that I will have something to pass on to my own children vastly increases, and suddenly generational wealth building becomes a reality. And this is key, because what we know is that inheritance is a key driver of the wealth gap, in the inequality gap that we see in the UK today. And I'm sure you'll see it as a driver of inequality in your own social structures. But it doesn't just stop at home ownership and inheritance. We also need to consider our old age and how focusing on our net worth protects us from poverty. The Pensioners' Income Series, again, I'll link their report down below, found that Black households were the least likely to receive personal pensions or income from other investments and were most likely to receive benefits on top of the state pension in the UK because the state pension is not sufficient to live on. Their study also found that black pensioners had the lowest income of any other group, again highlighting the lack of asset building in pensions, investments and saving pots to draw upon in your old age. I will never dismiss or diminish the hurdles faced, whether as an ethnic minority, a woman or other groups. But as individuals, we owe it to ourselves to turn away from the consumerism that is enjoyed by the majority and become asset builders for our short and our long-term futures, and so that we can affect generations to come. We haven't talked about access to jobs, access to schools, the ability to move and have the freedom to actually create a better life for yourself because of the fact that you have more wealth, and the impact that that will have on your children and their children, giving you more power, freedom and options. Okay, so my net worth. I said I would be transparent, so here we are. I'm hoping that I can put the net worth spreadsheet on the screen right now so you can see the split of my assets versus my liabilities and my total net worth. I will probably blank out the individual inputs because I'm not comfortable with that level of sharing just yet. This is the internet after all. The reason why I'm not saying the number out loud right now is because I want to calculate my net worth again as close to editing this video as possible. I'm not quite sure when this is going to come out. And that actually just goes to show that your net worth is a snapshot in time. Tomorrow it could change, and to be honest, I know that mine is in a state of flux. Okay guys, so that's the end of the video. I hope you found it valuable. If you did, thumbs up, give me a like. Gotta keep asking. Drop down in the comments and let me know if you have checked out the spreadsheet and if you think it's useful. Are you calculating your net worth? Do you know what it is? Are you tracking it? What are you doing to actually get it to grow? Let me know what you thought of the video. If you kind of understand where I'm coming from and agree or disagree. If you don't agree, let me know. If you haven't checked out my consumerism video, I highly recommend you go and watch that next. If you watch that video after watching this video, go over there and comment and let me know that too. Anyway, until next time, thanks. Bye.